Now, before I start the video, I just want to say that No Man's Sky is not a game for everyone. It's a game for people that want to explore space and different planets, and unfortunately there aren't too many games that allow you to do this. Some people are disappointed with No Man's Sky because they expected a different game. And while No Man's Sky is the game that I expected, and there aren't too many games that cater to this space nerd that lives inside me, I'm not okay with the game just because it's one of the few that caters to me. It has some obvious flaws, and people who try to tell you that it doesn't are just straight up wrong. This video is going to be 90% critique, so if you love the game and you just want to hear your opinion in a different voice, this may not be the video for you. So with all that said, let's roll the video. Welcome to No Man's Sky, probably the most hype indie game of all time that runs like us, looks like a game from 2010, and after a couple of hours of play, it feels like the developers fell in love with the algorithms and forgot that they're making an actual game rather than a tech demo with a couple of gameplay features, and overall, in my opinion, it feels more like an early access game and costs 60 euros. On top of that, if you're playing on PC, you have the wonderful bonus of crashing to desktop about 30% of the time when you're loading up the game, but if you manage to load the game up, you'll be greeted by probably the worst interface that I have ever seen in a PC game. It feels like they did the least amount of work to convert the PS4 interface to the PC interface. I mean, for fuck's sakes, when's the last time that you had to hold down a mouse button to confirm an action in a PC game? Now, since the game runs like us on basically any system, you'll probably try to adjust the settings and realize that you have to restart the game after every change, which means you have another 30% chance of crashing to desktop. Putting the game into borderless windowed mode cut my FPS by about half, and when I put all the settings on too low, restarted the game, and then put them back on high and restarted the game, I gained an FPS boost of about 20. After I managed to repair my ship and I went into space, I found a space station. After docking in the space station, I saw 3 ships that look exactly the same. They were traders. Well, one trader. Copy-pasted 2 times. In the exact same space station! But a little derp with the traders aside, the exploration in this game just doesn't feel very good. The game doesn't look particularly nice, which, usually is not a big deal. I don't care about graphics too much. But this is an exploration game, and I don't want to explore a game that kind of looks like us. And I'm not talking about aesthetics, because some of the very lively planets do look nice, but the graphical fidelity just lets it down. On top of that, every planet that I landed on, even the completely dead ones, were already visited by someone else before me. There were structures, drop pods, monoliths, and it doesn't feel like I've just discovered a planet. It feels more like it's the first time I visited that planet, not discovered it. And that ultimately ruined the whole discovery part for me, because when I land on a planet, I'm not like, yeah, I discovered a new planet. I'm just like, okay, is it going to be the bird people or the bulldog people? It feels like I'm just visiting the locals rather than discovering a planet. Although I must say that not understanding the aliens and trying to piece their language together word by word so you can at least understand what they want you to do is very intriguing, and I've spent countless hours trying to deal with them while not understanding them, trying to learn new words, and trying to find knowledge fragments to learn new words as well. Temporarily, I got hooked in when I tried to make as many units as possible to buy a bigger ship, but then I figured out that the huge deposits respawn, so all I had to do is find a planet that was rich on gold and had the giant gold deposits, and find one of these deposits near a trading terminal, and then I just spent 2 hours mining the gold, selling it, and by the time I sold it, the gold respawned, so I kept running back and forth, and I made a couple million units in just 2 hours. This led me to being bored almost instantly because I had more units than I knew what to do with, and I could expand my inventory indefinitely through the drop pods, and I could buy virtually any ship that would land at a space station. It would have been more interesting if the Sentinels gave a damn about me mining these giant gold deposits, but they didn't. Exploring the different planets swiftly gets repetitive because there is a very limited selection of flora and fauna. One of the planets I landed on had 9 different animals on it, and 7 of those animals were the same animal with a different fin on their back. And a lot of the flowers and trees and stuff like that will either be palette swapped or they will be the exact same thing, but the game will try to tell you that it's something different. So in the end, a lot of the planets end up looking and feeling the same, because they all have the same palette swapped mushrooms, trees and cacti. They have the same structures, they have the same knowledge fragments, they have the same obelisks. They just feel the same. And the ship controls are downright awful. I don't know if this is an issue for other people, but when I'm flying around in space and I move my mouse, it takes the game about 3 seconds to move the ship. So I move my mouse, nothing happens, and then the ship turns. And flying around on planets isn't very pleasant either, because there is an invisible floor that you can't fly below, and if you try to do that, the game will take control of your ship and will stabilize you, which usually ends up in your ship flipping around. Ultimately, this is a game with a lot of potential, and it's only up to the developers whether they make it good or they leave it like it is right now, which, to be honest, is rather boring. I'm 99% sure that they're gonna fix the performance issues and the crashes as well. This game is a blank canvas for the developers to draw upon, and if they add a couple of systems that you can play around with, this would be a superb game. But right now, as it is, it's basically fly to a planet, then fly from one exclamation mark to another, explore copy-pasted buildings, and mine resources. That's it. So let's hope the developers don't let the game down, they keep updating it, they keep adding new systems, and eventually this will be an amazing game. But at the moment, paying $60 for this, no. Don't. That is far too much.